Breakbeat is a content and technology company that was created and is designed to serve the interests and perspectives of the global hip-hop community. Hip-hop now spans 3 generations, so from Gen X down to millennials to Gen Z. There's millions of people who have grown up being influenced by the music and the culture of hip-hop from a young age. The differences across the generations, to me, seem to get promoted more than they should be. So, if you're 51 and you grew up on hip-hop, and, you might talk to your nephew who's 21 or something, you guys may not like the same music anymore. The musical different tastes may be different. But I believe that the way that you think, the way that you look at things, that you share much more in common due to the influence of hip-hop on, just on your worldview and your perspective and the way you react to things. I think, the hip-hop community is unique, and, you can kind of usually tell somebody that is hip-hop and somebody that isn't, no matter who they are, age, again, race, class, what have you. With Breakbeat, I'm trying to find a way to create content that's authentic, and that can be relevant and of interest across the generations. I think if we can connect the dots across the generations a little better, that as a community we can become even more influential and powerful than we are today. As much as hip-hop has influenced the world, I think anyone who loves hip-hop, just looking at what's going on out here, even these last few years with, George Floyd and all these other situations. I mean, anyone who loves hip-hop can look and say, like, we got a lot of things we still need to fix in this world and in our society. And I always believed that hip-hop would be, the force to really change a lot of those things and kind of destroy racism and systemic racism. But as of now, those things are clearly still flourishing. But I think as a community, again, if we can realize what we have in common more than our differences, we'll be able to do more. So Breakbeat is it's a comprehensive, network of content. It's not just about the music. It's not just about, the fashion or whatever. It's about our world and the lens, a broad lens coming from the perspective of the hip hop audience on the world. So we're going to have shows that deal with politics. We're going to have shows that deal with history and shows that deal with technology and health and anything that you might be interested in, but just created, in a way that will feel authentic to the hip hop community. Because of that divide of the generations, there's this kind of sleeping giant of an audience that we can wake up, because everybody's, kind of spread out. Hip hop has become kind of fractioned, into different, genres, subgenres or subsets and things like that. The podcast network, I've got eight podcasts in production, and I'll just, take you through some of the ones that we're doing to give you an idea of the range of content that we're offering. Our first podcast is called Don't Call Me White Girl, which is a woman, black woman from Philadelphia, who's just an immense talent. I first saw her when she was co-hosting the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast with Gillian Wallow, who are also from Philadelphia. Last year for like 3 months they had her on, and she was just incredible. And that was when I knew I wanted to try to get her for Breakbeat. She's really funny and entertaining, but she's also really smart. And that's really, she kind of speaks to the DNA of Breakbeat and what I want to do, in the sense that, you know, if you listen to or watch her podcast, you're definitely going to laugh and you're going to be entertained, but she's also going to force you to think about real issues and things outside of just the fun and entertaining. And she's going to, you know, she's not afraid to do that. And she does it in a way that's authentic and that's credible to the audience. So I think she's going to be a huge star over the next few years. She's what I'm calling kind of one of the unsigned hypes of Breakbeat. Not a rapper like all the rappers we discovered through Unsigned Hype, but just a creative talent that I think is going to get, you know, really big. The other one I'm put in that category is Funny Marco. We're about to release the first episode of the Wrap It Up show starring Funny Marco. And a lot of people watching this probably already follow him on Instagram. He's built up, you know, 3.5 million followers independently over the past few years on IG, just doing, you know, pranks and skits and stuff like that, you know, keeping us entertained. But I just feel like he has a special comedic talent that's, you know, will take him, you know, much further beyond the success he's already created for himself. So bringing him into the podcast space with Breakbeat, I think will be the next step in kind of taking him to another level. And I think the sky's the limit for him as well, of where he can go. You know, so those are like audio visual podcasts. You can listen to them or you can watch them on our YouTube channel. But we're also going, you know, really heavily into what I would call the more journalistic side of podcasting, and this, you know, highly produced audio storytelling that's emerged, you know, in the past 5 or 6 years. That's really what's driven the growth of the podcasting industry, was, you know, the introduction of Serial and, you know, all the other shows that have kind of followed in that format. And that side, there's really very little to nothing going on there that's relevant to hip hop. There's a couple things, but, you know, by and large, that's such a big part of podcasting that hip hop is tremendously underrepresented. So I really wanted to delve into that and kind of bring hip hop, you know, infuse hip hop into that aspect of podcasting as well. So I've got 2 shows, really 3 shows going right now in that lane. The first one is actually out right now, which is Culturati, hosted by Kieran Mayo. Kieran Mayo is one of the most well-respected female journalists and media executives in the hip-hop history. She's done a lot of amazing things, and like me, she's kind of been behind the scenes, you know, directing and producing and writing, but not putting her face and voice out there. So this is a new thing for her, hosting this show. It's produced with in a partnership with PRX, which are one of the most successful podcast production companies out, and very, very highly regarded for their quality. So her podcast is really, really very well done and very different and interesting. And then I've got 2 what I would call, you know, documentary series that we started production on, coming soon. So the first one is the story of the Unsigned Hype column in The Source. You know, we're telling that as an 8-part first season, 8-part series. And Unsigned Hype is arguably, you know, the single most influential column in magazine history, just because of all the names that came through Unsigned Hype before they were known, before they had record deals. So, you know, everybody from Biggie to Common to Mobb Deep, DMX, Eminem, Capone Noriega, Pitbull, Jay Electronica, Joel Santana, David Banner, and many others, all were discovered by The Source through our Unsigned Hype column. And we helped a lot of those artists get their first record deals and we're definitely, recognizing them at the very inception of their careers. So we're going to tell the backstory of that and how we came up with the column, all the people, from John Schechter to Matty C to Riggs Morales and others who were involved in that column, and the artists and people in the music industry as well you'll hear from. So that's going to be an incredible series for folks.